Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you for being here in our last event of this semester. Today we will have here Natalia Cabrera. She's a research assistant in this project. She's a lawyer from the Pontificia Universidad Católica de Valparaíso and a master's student in Pontificia Universidad Católica. She's interested in the study of criminal justice through the lens of social science, specifically regarding to control institutions. And today she's going to talk about the irruption of this psychosocial in criminal justice disputed logics. So let's give a round of virtual applause for her to start.
Hello, everyone. Thanks to be here. First of all, I want to express my gratitude to the Criminology reading group of the University of Edinburgh, especially to Daniela Mardones for giving me the opportunity to be here. Also, I want to express my enormous gratitude to Dr. Fabiola Miranda, who is the main researcher of the project, to put her trust on me. I will share my screen now in my presentation. Okay, give me a second. Okay, I'm going to present about the eruption of the psychosocial in criminal justice. This work is not only mine, but is a joint work in which also Maite Enriquez, who is here, participates, and other research assistants as Jacqueline Santos and Javiera Delgadillo, besides of course, Fabiola Miranda. The presentation goes around two main ideas. First, the dispute over the legitimate knowledge to be applied in criminal justice, the dispute between the logics of criminal law and psychosocial logics. And the second main idea is the incorporation of managerialism in criminal justice. So the presentation is organized in 3 times. First, I will review some historical and political framework of the reform in criminal justice area and the logics of expertise I introduced by talking about this. Then I will pose some questions and our methodology, and then I will explain some of the main preliminary results of the project. So, in 2000s in Chile, we have an inquisitive criminal law system. This means that the system was written, it was secret, all the activities in the criminal procedure was conducted by the judge. The judge was in charge of investigate, prosecute, and to judge. The system was secret, so no one has the ability to control the labor of the judge, and the process take many time. Years, almost 7 or 10, even 10 years to have a result. So this system was deeply criticized for many reasons. It was fertile to corruption, but especially it was criticized because it was ineffective and inefficient. Wait me a minute. It was ineffective and inefficient. Some people even said that it institutionalized the corruption. Sorry, not the corruption, but also the corruption, but also the impunity. Sorry. In this period of time, in the 90s, all of our continent, all of Latin America, was in a transition period. We were passing to a democracy systems. We in Chile, we have had a right-wing dictatorship of Pinochet. So the timing was perfect to deep changes of the state deep changes in justice and in criminal justice, especially. Globally, there was a movement which is called New Public Management. You may know it because it comes from Global North. New Public Management as a way to think about public role, the state of action, aims to introduce injustice in the state action generally, the logics of business management, the logics of productivity. Particularly with the reform, it introduced in our system statistic performance measures, statistics performance measures, institutional objectives, and mechanisms to assure efficiency and efficacy. So in this time, and enlightened by new public management, we passed to an accusatory system, which means that the investigation and prosecution is now in charge of a new office, which is Public Prosecutor's Office. So we can see a first tension here between productivity logics and wellness, or maybe communitarian logics. In this context, psychosocial professionals were heavily included in all kinds of roles across all criminal justice system, in a defense, but in accusatory offices and in courts too. But what is psychosocial? What is the psychosocial? One can define psychosocial first by the professions that compose it. They are social workers, mainly social workers and psychologists, but sometimes other professions perform their role too. But the psychosocial is not only the professions that compose it, but also is a way to see and address complex social problems. This logic, the logics of psychosocial, aim to overcome the opposition between the subject and his or her personal characteristics, his or her personality, for example, and the society which determines his or her actions. For example, his or her social conditions, his or her family, or all the social context of the person. The first task is normally in charge of psychology, and the second task is only in charge of social work. So with psychosocial means that these two views are integrated to observe and to address. When I said address, I mean act to resolve, which is called intervention, psychosocial intervention generally. So those professionals and its logics were included in criminal law system, and as you may know, maybe in the UK is the same. Criminal law is not so interested in the conditions, social conditions. It's not interested in subjectivities, in personality. It's just devoted to know the concrete fact that one concrete individual performed, which is a crime established by law, which has a legal consequence that is rigidly established by law. We have a continental system too, as you may know also. As you also may know. So here is a second tension. There is a tension between the rational emotionalities of criminal law, which aims to relegate the emotions, relegate all that considerations, and the psychosocial logics. So this is a framework to observe criminal justice action in everyday labor of people. This perspective, managerialization and new public management and the criminal justice reforms have been studied in Chile, in an historical and political perspective, but I think that this is the first time that it is explored by the view of the actors. So we pose that questions related to the topic. How the actors embody the managerialism? By actors, I mean criminal lawyers and psychosocial professionals. How they embody the ratio emotionalities of criminal law and psychosocial. Which strategies of conformity and challenge and resistance they develop in their everyday labor. So we conduct deep interviews with lawyers, social workers, and psychologists. It's important to say that our interview guide was built in a highly evocative way, which means that the topics that I'm going to explain to you were not explicitly asked in the interviews. We explicitly address a question related to social work relationships, emotion and situations in work and professional development. So all the topics was emergent. We analyzed our interviews with a thematic analysis in an inductively way. I don't know if I say it right, but from the facts, from the data. So I'm going to pass to the results. First of all, one topic that emerged was the characterization of psychosocial and psychosocial professionals who embody the logics of psychosocial. They were characterized as capable to see holistically complex social problems. They are able to see facts that escape to the eyes of lawyers. They have the ability to see behind or behind the crime, and in a deeper way, in a contextual way, the problem behind the crime. You can read those quotes. I'm going to read the most important ones. As professionals, they are described as empathic, emotional, sensible, flexible, and reflexive. They have an ability to make an attach with people, to read people's emotions, and to they have some soft abilities to communicate complex things in a simple way. On the other hand, criminal law and criminal lawyers, as described with words of criticism, especially from lawyers. Lawyers were much more harder than psychosocial professionals. They are described as, in Spanish, we say parcos. The most similar word that I found was laconic. They are cold, believing themselves to be demigods, accustomed to solitary work and professionally deformed. This way is what the way in which lawyers describe themselves and their colleagues. Psychosocial professionals use softer words, but they say the same. I think that quote is very interesting because the description of criminal lawyers is not only the description of criminal lawyers, it's the description of criminal law, of the criminal process. Criminal process is experienced as rough by psychosocial professionals. It's an environment, it's a difficult environment, an environment which feeds from conflict, from tensions. So is more than actors. Karina, who is a psychosocial professional, said, they tend to speak in a very convoluted way to somehow make communication more complex. There was this defensive armor, and because you are obviously inserting yourself in an environment that was not yours, and even so, even now, suddenly, after 10 years of work, I get hung up and I feel like I've been in a seaport. Me siento como un poroto en paila marina when I go to the criminal courts. Criminal process is described as devoted to obtain a legal result, a condemnation or absolution. I think it's very interesting that those descriptions were made in a contradictory way. When people talk about psychosocial and criminal law, they made those ideas antonyms. They are treated as antonyms. For example, Diego, who is a psychosocial professional, described this in a very precise way. As social workers, we act from the discourse of psychosocial evaluation, of the victim's well-being, of reparation. That is our discourse. That is where we speak from. And sometimes there is a lot of conflict with legal discourse, that the legal discourse is from the criminal necessity, the sanction, the investigation, accusation, trial to do justice. Justice operates from here. This is justice. The turn of the business, I found it interesting, the turn of the business of the prosecutor's office is not the attention to victims, it's the legal retribution. So you can see here, there is a tension between these logics. But this discourse is not absolute, nor the lawyers' discourse, nor the social workers, so psychosocial workers' discourse. They commonly make a distinction between old school lawyers and the younger ones. Younger lawyers are open to new ideas or to new knowledge. But when they talk about this relationship, this work relationship between lawyers and psychosocial professionals, they recognize value attributed to psychosocial work, to psychosocial logics in different grades. The most big recognition that I found was a lawyer who said that psychosocial professionals were able to give reparation to the victim in a way that lawyers can't. But are different grades of recognition. But even so, there is a cultural subordination in criminal justice institutions between this knowledge. This manifests in a constant pressure for psychosocial workers to validate themselves in the eyes of lawyers. They feel pressure to, for example, and they develop strategies to validate themselves. For example, they do postgraduate studies in law. They learned the language of law. There is a quote of a psychosocial professional, Julia, who validates her work by the constitutional mandate. And in a way, she also depreciates the logics of psychosocial, because she said, my work as social worker was not only to calm the crying in I think she said it in a bad way, calm the crying, but also to break that and to be able to fulfill a task that is based in a constitutional mandate. So she is legitimizing her role by a constitutional mandate. Psychosocial professionals begin to embody the logics of the legal and the logics of criminal law. In this context, having all of this in mind, there is an instrumentation there is an instrumentalization of the psychosocial. Even when the psychosocial knowledge were included in criminal justice to improve the quality of justice, to protect victims, for example, it appears to be used at the service of efficacy and efficiency. Psychosocial knowledge is used as a means to achieve the ends of criminal justice. Generally, it could be defined as an emotional management. Their abilities and their features as professionals and as people, as persons, are used to manage and control the emotions of the actors that are object of criminal justice. I identified 5 concrete mechanisms of instrumentalization. First, they develop strategies to emotional containment of the people who are object to criminal justice. For example, they help children to develop a speech which is coherent and could be well valued from the judge. Second, their empathy and ability to read other people's emotions is used to maintain the people commitment with the process. For example, to avoid that the victim retire the denounce, for example. I think that this one is very funny and very bad. I don't know how to say it, but when, for example, when prosecutors take decisions that are difficult, that are complicated to victims, they ask psychosocial professionals to communicate those decisions to victims. If they decide to file away a case of sexual crime which has a child victim, they ask psychosocial professional to communicate the decision to the family. And fifth, they have a really deep knowledge of the social network service. So this knowledge is used to manage all kinds of referrals to the people, to those services. Of course, it can be said that the mechanisms that I described are not necessarily opposed to a social justice or to reparation or I don't know, to justice in general, but there is this one factor that is necessary to consider, which is related in a closer way to managerialism. With this emphasis in efficacy and efficiency and the inclusion of measures, and you have to consider that in our system, the resources are very limited. There are poor resources. So this means that people, actors, lawyers, and psychosocial professionals handle a very large amount of cases. Lawyers report handling between 500 and 2,000 cases per year, while psychosocial workers report having 1,000 cases per year or 150 per month. Of course, this aim in productivity generates a big impact in quality and humanity of case treatment. So these instrumentalization mechanisms developed in this context. This involves an automatization of the people who handle the case. I think that those thoughts are very strong for me at least. I'm going to read them. One is from a lawyer and the other is from a psychosocial professional. Luis, who is a lawyer, said, Often, due to the dynamics of the investigative files, one loses focus a little and begins to see only numbers, and begins to see those involved as the same victim in all the cases. Then, noticing these deficiencies that are caused by professional deformation and the amount of work that exists, the number of cases that come in is immense, and all the victims are different. But believe me, they don't measure us by different victims, they measure us by numbers. Diego, who worked with victims of sexual crimes, femicide, or serious domestic violence, say, like if he were talking to a victim, how long is this going to last? Because I need to continue attending. There is a mechanization or automatization that has nothing to do with the seriousness of the cases, but with the sheer number of cases. This translates into a significant personal burnout, insensibilization and distancing from other people's pain. Yes, they are all the same. All these victims are the same. No, madam, come on, next. So, in this context, psychosocial professionals and lawyers develop a series of strategies to challenge managerialism and resistance strategies in general. They strategies varies from different actors. They are related, for example, some people ask vacation days to accompany victims to hearings. They develop strategies to make a more humane justice. They develop strategies to avoid the instrumentalization of people, to make them feel better with the process. But these strategies are individual. As I said, they ask vacation days to accompany victims to hearings. They raise funds to people who don't have money, or they develop strategies to pressure other actors to defend some people interest, for example, the victim interest. There is a quote of Maria, who is a psychosocial worker. She said that if I know that a client is very poor financially, it's like, yeah, let's make a small font, una vaquita in Spanish, a family basket, and we will send it to her. I don't just stand there thinking, poor lady, she's not eating. One strategy that emerged all around in all interviews was the treatment, the humanitarian treatment with victims, the respectful treatments. That is to say, give proper information to victims about their rights, the process, and all kinds of things. To give warm and close treatment to people, to generate a relationship of trust with them, with respect, with empathy, with humanization. For example, one psychosocial worker said that she has a golden rule, to give 5 minutes per victim, and you can observe that the time is very little, but in those 5 minutes, she said that sometimes she talked to the victim of a novel or of a TV show to make the environment more human, to make lighter the environment. So they develop those kind of strategies. For example, Elisa said, finally, I have to be able to get in touch with other person so that they know they can count on me. Or there is Karina, who is also a psychosocial worker. She said, we have a very big confusion in the social area of thinking that we have to work automatically, that we have to be very professional and not feel anything. That's a big stupidity, because that's what makes us human. That's what makes us human. Of course, these strategies are problematic. First of all, because they depend on the will of the actors. They are not institutionalized. But especially because it involves the expenditure of individual resources, vacation days, personal money, personal organization, and of course they involve emotional exhaustion, because people is pressured to achieve those performance measures, those to accomplish the times, but they also feel this ethic responsibility with people. So the number of cases and the lack of resources make the aspiration to turn this in a structural feature of the system illusory. That is to say, this emphasis on productivity seems to hinder aspects of substantive justice, both in terms of the possibility of obtaining reparation, rehabilitation, or something as simple as dignified and humane treatment. So this was my presentation. It's work in process, as I said. So I will be happy to hear some comments and questions to give all these